Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale custom figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at the Rovanic custom studio Night Lord Cruel, aka John Paul Valley Azrael as Batman from Knightfall. Now, I got mine direct from Rovanic. I've popped a link to their socials in the description for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video, this is a review. As always, all opinions are 100% my own. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new custom Batman figure review goes live on the channel. Up until now, I've never had the chance to discuss my unhealthy obsession with this look for Batman on the channel. I'm so enamored by this armored look for the Dark Knight that when Hot Toys Japan and Heritage Auctions were auctioning off some artist collab custom Batman figures, prototypes if you will, and one of them just so happened to be Azrael Batman based off the Arkham City figure, I jumped on it. I paid way too much for that, and it's been in my collection ever since. More on that a little bit later. The design is such a product of the 90s, and I'm a 90s kid, maybe that's why I'm a massive fan of it. As for the box art, up front we've got an image of a version of Knightfall Azrael Batman that Rovanic Custom Studio makes, because that's the best part about going custom. You get to customize. I didn't quite go with this color scheme, the image that's on the front of the box. Below that picture, Rovanic Custom Studio and his name, Night Lord Cruel. As soon as you open the lid, you're immediately greeted by a laminated COA, a nice touch by them. First in-hand impressions for this absolute beast of a figure. It's nestled in a lot of foam, very protected during shipping. This thing is massive, and it's extremely heavy. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box. I've made an absolute mess of this foam, and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Normally we'd start off with the display base first, and you can get this with a base if you want, because don't forget, it's custom. Everything is bespoke. You don't have to get the version 1 and version 2 helmeted head sculpts if you don't want them. You can just stick with the standard head sculpt if you so choose. But I did opt for all 3 head sculpts. Version 1, version 2. They both have an LED light up function. I'll show you how that works and what they look like on the body a little bit later. Oh, and the reason why I didn't get a base with this is I'm working on a custom base. Potentially for a future Build-A-Figure project. We'll have to wait and see on that. So this is the head sculpt that was installed on him right out of the box. Beautiful metallic blue paint applications, glossy red eyes, airbrush shading, and an insane amount of detail. But we'll go into more detail on this once we install it on the body. If you were eyeing this thinking, is that a coin you display alongside Azrael? It could be, if you wanted, but no. There's a magnet inside of it around the back. This is what you use to activate the light up function on his helmeted head sculpts. There's a black wash in the bat symbol, and it's been painted in this really shiny metallic gold. It looks like it could be made of metal, but it isn't. This is sculpted plastic. So my Azrael Batman only comes with one pair of hands. These open palm claw hands were pre-installed on him right out of the box. I took them off so we could look at them in more detail. There's armor plating around the back that's been battle damaged. You can see it's chipped and marred up. Phillips head screws sculpted in. Armor for the fingers, and these massive long talons for fingernails. Azrael could do with some batarangs or the bat discs he launches out of his gauntlets. Then again, with hands and claws like these, Azrael himself is the weapon. What we're going to do now is get Azbats himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. But I did do something with the cape. There is so much cape here that it wouldn't just hang down the back of him and sit on the turntable. It went past the turntable. So I have it billowing off to one side. Not that he looks bad like that, he absolutely doesn't. He looks better, if anything. Simply standing there, in front of me, he has so much presence. This is everything I wanted from a 1/6 scale Knightfall Batman and more. Rovanic, you killed it. Paint applications, spot on. Proportions, he's big and bulky. He's on a Fison body, I believe, probably M34 or 35, if I had to guess. The armor is mostly sculpted plastic, and the outfit is genuine leather. He doesn't look like a custom to me, but he comes across officially licensed and mass-produced. I don't mean that as an insult, the opposite, in fact. This looks so sharp, everything is so well executed, that he looks factory-made, and that's the highest compliment that I can give them. Just look at that head sculpt. Up close and personal, kicking things off with this sculpt. Don't worry, we'll try out the helmet ones in just a second. But I can already tell you, this is the head sculpt he's always going to be rocking in my collection. It's too classic of a head sculpt not to use. And the detail is crazy. Quite frankly, you can see his ears poking through, the wrinkling on the seam edge sculpted in, some leather grain texture, the furrowed brow look, but it's this triangular-esque Bane-like mouth shape that gets me the most. That is so accurate. It's meant to be there. Rovanic, you nailed it with this head sculpt. It's slightly underscaled, perhaps, for this bulky body, but I reckon he's done that on purpose. He's done it before with his Dark Knight Returns figures. It's an old toy maker's trick. Make the head sculpt a little bit smaller, that way the body looks even larger. It's not small enough for it to cause any issues scaling-wise alongside other figures, I don't think. Now, the blue paint applications, there's a base metallic blue, then some darker airbrush shading. I'm not sure if there's a wash in the sculpted leather grain texture, but there may very well be. Oh, and the eyes for this particular head sculpt don't light up. They're just painted in gloss red. Oh no, I'm in trouble. I thought that I knew which head sculpt I was going to go with. I told you as much like 5 seconds ago. Now that I'm seeing this helmet on the body, the armored look combined with this, I'm tempted, man. I don't know. Weigh in down in the comments after you've seen all 3 head sculpts on this body. Tell me which option you prefer. This is the version 1 helmet, bringing in the gold-colored bat disc with the magnet inside of it. There is a light-up effect for the visor. That now makes it look even cooler. It's powered by button cell batteries, so that isn't going to last forever, but it's a big one. So it's going to last a hell of a lot longer than the teeny tiny button cell batteries that Hot Toys tend to give us. Alright, time to try out the other helmet option. Now I really don't know, even just the 2 helmets, version 1 and then version 2 now on the body, the differences are subtle, but they're there. It's the roundness of the forehead and the shape of the brow area. This one comes across more geometric. Then they've hit the forehead with a much brighter blue, and that helps this head sculpt stand out amongst all of the other metallic blue bits for the armor. The light up effect is weaker on this helmet. It's currently turned on, but because the visor is painted in this really vibrant glossy red anyway, I don't foresee myself using the light up effect in the collection if I end up going with one of the helmeted head sculpts. Back to this head sculpt, now I'm in love with it all over again. Don't get me wrong, it's a great problem to have, needing to pick between 3 outstanding head sculpts, 2 of which have light up effects. Let's move on to the armor. His neck armor is sculpted plastic. We've got this ribbing detail as part of the sculpt. It's painted in the same warm tone gold as the rectangular cutout for his collar, the chest armor, and his shoulder pads. There's some airbrush shading just in the crevices, a black wash, and a subtle silver dry brush. Right there. You can see that in one of the heavy scratches. It's not overdone, it's a really subtle effect, but from a distance, you can still see all of the crazy sculpted detail. This cape is probably the biggest 1/6 scale cape I've ever seen. There is so much of it. Azrael Batman's wingspan is incredible. It's wired, we've got these holes straight through it, the bottom is frayed and tattered looking, and it's made of this plush, almost microfiber feeling material. It's not going to degrade or flake or peel on you. It's lightweight, it's single ply. Even though it's wired, it drapes there, no problem. Underneath it, there's buckles and straps for the chest armor. Then we've got this spinal armor detail. You can see the belt wrapping around the back. And the rest of the pouches, they don't end right there for the thigh. They go all the way around the back. It sounds silly to mention something like that. It's important, because some companies wouldn't continue the pouches all the way around the back. They'd save money wherever possible. His undersuit is made of genuine leather. I opted for a grey undersuit and then grey ab armor. You could go for blue if you wanted. Technically speaking, depending on the panel that you're looking at for Azrael Batman in Knightfall, his undersuit did look a little bit more blue than this. But I went with grey because there's already so much blue on him. The ab armor is sculpted plastic. The way they feathered the gold paint applications for these panels underneath the chest armor, it looks like the gold just subtly continues down, then it fades into the grey for the rest of these armor plates. Check out the stitching sculpted in. How crisp that is around these armor plates. These scuffs on the front armor, you can ask for those to be left off if you're not a fan of seeing that silver paint right around the front. His belt pouches are made of genuine leather, real metal buckles hanging down from these loops. The gauntlets are free-floating and adjustable, but you do need to attach the, what do you even call these? Gauntlet fins or spikes right out of the box. They're packaged separately so that nothing happens to them in transit. They're thin pieces of plastic. Be gentle when you're trying to install them. They're on these rails, so when you plug them in, it's not like you're installing these little individual fins. They feel sturdy, but still something to watch out for. I would potentially heat up the gauntlets first and then plug these pieces in. Do you think grey was the right choice? I mean, blue cape, blue armor, blue head sculpt. Now I'm regretting not getting the blue. I think I might have to get a second one of these. The pants are padded for these raised panels. Then we've got some knee pads as part of the actual genuine leather pants. The boot guards are a split cut design. There's some leather grain texture sculpted in. But these fins you do have to insert individually. Once again, heat up this piece first. I tried to install them without doing that. They didn't want to go in super easily. As soon as I applied heat from a hairdryer for like 5 seconds, they went in as smooth as butter. For the bottom part of the boots, wrinkling, armor plating around the front, and some sculpted tread on the underside. It's not that Rovanic's figure is underscaled. It isn't. It's on a Fison M34, and we all know how big that body is. Hot Toys overscales Batman. They always do it. They've done it for years. Even live-action Batman figures are taller than they're supposed to be. So next to Arkham Knight Batman by Hot Toys, yeah, the Rovanic figure is smaller. The reason why I went with Arkham Knight specifically is because he's older now, and he's been released in multiple different colorways. So chances are, if you're a Batman fan and you collect 1/6, you probably have a version of Hot Toys Arkham Knight Batman at this point. Even though he is smaller, I am going to display Azrael Batman next to the Arkham figures because something about the aesthetic just screams Arkham to me. Et voila, there it is. Isn't it beautiful? The one of one, the only one in existence. Hot Toys Chi Batman Artist Collab Azrael Bats, based off his appearance in Arkham Origins. For those thinking, Justin, what are you talking about, you idiot? It's an Arkham City Batman that's been repainted with some bits and pieces slapped on it. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. The Artist Collab series is never meant to be put on sale, really. Hot Toys from time to time work with local artists. They make stuff like this using parts readily available. They 3D print some bits and pieces. Then they put them on display. After that, they're never to be seen again. That's what this is. Hot Toys Japan collaborated with an artist known as Chi Batman. He rides around the streets of Japan dressed as Batman on a motorcycle. It doesn't get more authentic than that for a dude who's going to work with Hot Toys to make his own Batman figure. I had the chance to pick this up at auction. I won. I paid way too much for it. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. The way this thing is painted, that rectangle on his collar, the vents on his gauntlets, they're not lit up. That's just paint. He nailed it with the paint applications. Do I wish the belly button wasn't there? That's a carryover from the glue point for the belt buckle for Arkham City Batman. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's not a deal breaker for me because of how rare this thing is. Next to the Rovanic Custom Studio one, very different looks for Azrael Batman. The one on the right is based off Arkham Origins, whereas the one on the left is sort of Prime 1 inspired, but it's Rovanic's own take. Is there a winner for me? In terms of durability, yeah, it's going to Rovanic, because as soon as you look at this Hot Toys prototype one the wrong way, it falls apart. The straps on his thigh are literally held on there with sticky tape. And that's part of the charm. You never get to see behind the curtain like this to own a piece of Hot Toys history. Enough gushing, I love the prototype, but I also adore what Rovanic gave us. I've been dreading the articulation segment, not because he can't move. He can. He's on a Phison body underneath the armor. But he's also a handful. There's the boot spikes to watch out for, and the gauntlet ones, the massive cape. A lot of stuff you're going to need to work with when posing. Going over articulation, starting off with his head sculpt. It's on an articulated neck and a double ball peg. Looking forward to there, you can either bury the chin into the armor or sit it on top, entirely up to you. Looking up to there, swivel and pivot side to side. Be mindful of paint rub. This is a separate piece of plastic underneath the chest armor. His arms will go up to there, going forward and back, almost completely flushed down by his sides. There's a butterfly joint that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90, then for the wrist peg, it's a ball joint. This is solid sculpted plastic, but it ends right there, so we still get some ab crunch going forward, going back, and it doesn't get gappy, because the sculpt work continues underneath the chest armor, swivel and pivot side to side. His legs will go forward to there comfortably, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee going past 90. Then a double ball peg for the ankles and a split cut boot design, good for forward and back rotation as well as ankle tilt. Wrapping up on Rovanic Custom Studios' Night Lord Crawl. I've been getting stuff from Rovanic for a while. Their Dark Knight Returns figures with the Phison bodies and spandex outfits, brilliant. But this? It's like they've graduated and then gone to the next stage of making customs. This is way more involved from a manufacturing perspective. Still a Phison body, crazy articulation for something that's as bulky and as armored as it is. Genuine leather undersuit with various panels stitched into it and padding. Then we've got the armor itself, all sculpted and meticulously hand-painted with the silver dry brushing. And 3 head sculpts for this one. Not to mention, it's all customizable. If you don't like the color scheme I went with, you can change it up. You can go for a blue undersuit if you want, or you can go for the red Azrael armored look. That's something I'm strongly considering myself, actually. So at the end of this, do I recommend Azrael Batman from them? 100%. This is now one of my all-time favorite 1/6 scale Batman figures. And that's saying something, because over the years we've had some stunning Batman releases. Now, I got mine direct from Rovanic Studio. I've popped a link to their socials in the description for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video. This has been a review, all opinions 100% my own. While you're in the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.